Chapter 1. Ethan Critelli whistled a happy tune as he walked out of Jameson Hall. He stopped at the bottom of the steps to take in the wonderful autumn fragrance with a big grin on his face. It was a beautiful day. The sun shone brightly in the clear blue sky, birds sang sweet melodies from the boughs of nearby trees, and the crisp air livened his spirits. He smiled at the sun and slid on a pair of sunglasses. "My future's so bright, I gotta wear shades," he said, feeling like it was he who had the world by the balls for once, and not the other way around. Finally, the day had come. After 4 years of college and 4 more of veterinary school, he'd passed the North American Veterinary Licensing Exam at the age of 26. In a few months, Ethan would graduate from Cornell University of Veterinary Medicine. Then he'd open up his own practice in Ithaca. His own practice. Ethan was electrified. He could hardly believe the moment had finally come. In his heightened state of consciousness, the world burst with color, energy, and possibility. Cayuga Lake shimmered in the distance, its surface of twinkling prisms alive and brilliant. Fall's felled leaves created an autumnal carpet on the lawn, and despite the chill in the air, there were a plethora of students and faculty outside enjoying the crisp, sunny day. Ethan felt like he might burst with the news of his achievement. He had to tell someone, but his friends weren't around. He thought about calling someone with the news, but news like this was so much better in person. Ethan made it 5 steps before he gave in to the urge to call someone and pulled out his phone. He was about to call his adoptive mother when a gust of wind violently roared through campus. The gale scattered papers, tossed hats, lifted blankets, and pushed Ethan back a full 2 steps. He scrambled off the walkway and took refuge beneath a small maple tree as leaves cascaded across the lawn. Another gust followed the first, and dark storm clouds suddenly began to swirl in from every direction. What the... At first, Ethan laughed at the delightful display. The leaves were enchanting, whimsical even, and he was in a mystical mood, but he soon realized the danger when a fallen tree branch snapped a power line loose and it fell, writhing like an electric snake on the leaf-strewn lawn. Students and faculty alike began to scramble for shelter, and Ethan was about to join them when the most curious thing happened. A man's voice arose somewhere in the haunting roar of the gale. At first, it was faint, but soon the sounds grew louder, then louder still. Ethan glanced around, thinking that surely the others could hear it, but they gave no indication as they abandoned their scattered picnic paraphernalia and ran for shelter. Ethan huddled beneath the small tree and strained to make out the words riding on the wind. They weren't in any language he'd ever heard. He jerked his head left and right and spun a circle, searching for the source. The voice was much too loud to be natural. It was a booming command that grew so loud it reverberated in Ethan's chest. The others had to be able to hear it. The storm clouds barked and churned angrily, and if Ethan hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he'd never have believed it, for a vortex of swirling darkness suddenly opened up right above him. Ethan was no dummy. He was smart enough to know that when a writhing vortex of doom opens up above your head, you run. He abandoned his shoddy cover and bolted back toward Jameson Hall. "Open the door!" he screamed to the mystified onlookers standing pressed against the glass doors. They weren't looking at him. They were looking at the vortex. Ethan glanced up at it and shrieked. It was following him. To his bewilderment, he thought he saw a figure deep inside the vortex, an old man standing beside a fire. He'd glimpsed it for only a moment, but he was sure of what he'd seen. "Open the freaking door!" he screamed and pounded on the glass. Rather than open it, someone locked it. The onlookers pointed their phones at him, elbowing each other as they vied for the best angle to record his demise. He had a fleeting thought, one that was hilarious and terrible, his death by vortex going viral.